All right. Good evening, everyone. Sister Cher, I see you already in. Hope you're doing okay this week. We're gonna get right into it. Have somewhere to be, probably like around 8:15. Got to get in on the call. So just want to go ahead and get started and kind of see what's going on tonight. So the first thing we'll be looking at is United States military conducts new strikes on Iran. Also, Israel will not live to see another 15 years, says Iran's supreme leader. Also in Atlanta, here in Atlanta, the airport, not just here, but possibly in different airports as well. They're set to start screening travelers from some countries amid Ebola outbreak. Also, the Vatican enters the AI revolution as Pope Leo the 14th and Anthropic co-founder um, shows Rome moving to shape the digital future as Daniel's revived Roman Empire rises. As data centers drain electricities from towns and homes, the digital nervous system of the coming mark of the beast is rising in plain sight. Also, woman claims Georgia Power wants to take her home to support data center. We'll look at that also. And then false prophet news for the day. We'll take a look at a man who tries to split the Red Sea like Moses, and actually the Red Sea or the water attacks him instead. And also, we'll be looking at Atla World Ministry Church, where I think his pastor, David Manning, not necessarily a true pastor, but let's just see what he says about the church and the family and the state it is in today. So, getting started here, let's go and see. Good evening, Sister Gabriel. Nathan is allowing Sister Dominique to get some rest this evening because she has choir rehearsal tonight, and she is sleepy because she has a little one on the way. And praise God, we do have another boy coming. So the bloodline continues on. Praise the Lord. So we're looking forward to that. So let me go and share my screen. Let's see here. And that will actually be 6 grandkids, Lord willing. So Lord is doing his thing. First and foremost, let's see here. Last night, if you guys don't know, it's supposed to have been a peace deal in the works, but that's why if you pay attention to what the title of this particular episode is, it is Here We Were Again. Yes, praise God. Here we were again because it's once again back at it. Don't know if it's ever going to stop. Might just go all the way into the end. So let's see what happens here. What it say?
Hours after Iranian negotiators arrived in Qatar for another round of talks aimed at ending the war, U.S. forces strike missile launch sites in Iran. It's the first time Iranian officials have traveled to Qatar to attend talks aimed at ending that conflict.
KTLA's Lauren Lister has the latest on the military strikes and the negotiations.
Good evening. As a deal to end the war appears to be moving forward, new reports tonight of U.S. strikes of missile launch sites in Iran that Central Command characterized as self-defense. And here at home, fallen service members were honored.
In Operation Epic Fury, we lost 13 wonderful souls, wonderful, special people.
President Trump remembering those killed during the U.S. military operation against Iran at a Memorial Day ceremony at Arlington National Cemetery.
These incredible men and women gave their lives to ensure that the world's #1 state sponsor of terror will never have a nuclear weapon.
This as more than 6,000 miles away in the Middle Eastern country of Qatar, sources tell News Nation Iran's parliament speaker, who's been lead negotiator, along with Iran's foreign minister, arrived in the capital to discuss a peace deal with mediators.
Hopefully we can pull it off. It has a lot of support in the Gulf. It has a lot of support globally.
A senior administration official saying the deal includes a 60-day ceasefire extension, reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, a crucial waterway for global oil transport that Iran has been blockading, and commitments from Iran not to have a nuclear weapon. Reportedly, in return, the U.S. would lift the naval blockade and ease some Iranian sanctions. And today on Truth Social, the president posting negotiations are proceeding nicely. It will be a great deal for all or no deal at all. President Trump in that post also saying as part of the deal, he's asking countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Pakistan to join the Abraham Accords to normalize relations with Israel. That's the latest here in the newsroom. I'll send it back to you.
So I think that's a little weird for them to try to to try to stop everybody else from having nuclear weapons, but at the same time we have them. So it's like the pot calling the kettle black. And let's just go a little bit further. Let's see what we got here. Next up is Israel will not live to see another 15 years, says Iran Supreme Leader. The Jewish Chronicle. And, kind of seems like that might be the case, man, the way things are going. However, it has to be taken down, period, because the Lord gonna come and set his kingdom up on the earth, and that's where he's gonna rule from. What does it say here? Okay. Threat by Mastaba Kamani comes amid hopes of breakthrough in talks between the U.S. and Islamic Republic. Also, Sister Cheryl, thank you for sending those articles and stuff. I did read through some of them, but just keep sending them, because that helps us kind of filter through what we can broadcast. If we don't do it this week, it may be next week, keeping everything in context with what's going on, but definitely keep sending those. We definitely appreciate it. If you guys run into certain things, please send it to us. You see the email at the bottom, Hebrew News Network 12@gmail.com. So if y'all have any interesting articles or things that you run past, please email them to us or contact us so we can bring it up if possible. Iran's new supreme leader has declared Israel will not live to see another 15 years in a chilling affirmation of the IRGC, really, Islamic Republic's enmity towards the Jewish state. Death to Israel and death to America remain the regime slogans, according to the statement from that guy, Kamani, aired on Tuesday morning by Iran's state broadcaster. The rhetoric echoes the claim a decade. What? The rhetoric echoes the claim a decade by his father, Ali Khamenei, the previous supreme leader, that Israel would not survive another 25 years. The comments come as an Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, commander told the JC that, and that's the Jewish Chronicle, that the biggest mistake of the regime's enemies was killing the elder Khamenei. The Sun is reported to have authorized negotiations with President Trump's administration, but also appears determined to reassure the regime's hard-line ideological base. In his statement broadcast today in Iran, Khamenei said that the slogans "Death to America" and "Death to Israel" will continue to be the slogans of the Islamic Ummah, especially its youth. He continued, the region would not return to past conditions, and Washington would no longer have a safe place to maintain military bases in the region. Khamenei has not been seen publicly since he took the position of supreme leader, replacing his father, who was killed in the airstrike on Tehran on the opening day of the recent campaign by the U.S. and Israel. There has been continued speculation over the son's health amid claims that he has also been severely injured in the war. While negotiations are ongoing, hardline supporters of the Islamic Republic insist that any agreement with what they describe as the murders of their martyred imam can never truly be accepted by the regime's ideological base. The biggest mistake was killing our leader, said Ahmad Abadi, an RGC foot soldier and Bassad's paramilitary member who now oversees a checkpoint in central Tehran. They never imagined we could fight back the way we are now. You failed to overthrow our divine regime. You failed to open the Strait of Hormuz. You failed to disarm our Hezbollah. Speaking to the JC from Tehran, Ahmad Abadi described the regime's losses not as a defeat, but as a source of future legitimacy. The only real loss was the martyrdom of our imam, he said. That is bad for us, but good for him. He always wanted to become a martyr. In the long run, it may even strengthen us, he added. We can always remind pro-deal politicians in Iran who was killed and by whom. The question now is how the regime's ideological core, including the more than 120,000 members of the RGC, will react to any future agreement with Washington. We will respect the negotiations, Ahmad Abadi said. Then with a changed tone, he added, but the sense of betrayal will never heal. Remember what we're capable of doing inside the country, in the Strait of Hormuz, and across the world. And after a pause, he insisted, of course, we will respect the deal, But Iranian opponents of the regime feel abandoned amid the current negotiations after what they see as promises by Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to help unseat the regime, which anti-regime protester Iman now believes to be bluffs. Yeah, they just keep lying. Explaining he felt deeply betrayed, Iman said, either our movement was used by the West to achieve its own entrance, or we have to accept that the regime won the war. So let's see. We're almost done. Might as well finish it. Some dissidents fear that a deal could hand the Islamic Republic the breathing space it needs to crush what remains of Iran's civil society. So if the regime survives this, they will come after all of us, said a lawyer based in Tehran who has chosen to remain anonymous. Okay, yeah, you guys see that. Cool. She believes any agreement between Washington and Tehran would allow the authorities to intensify their crackdown on Iran's already battered opposition movement. She said so far, what Trump calls support has brought us nothing except more suffering. And that's something that America is known for. I can see it a lot clearer now when it said they was, making supposed to make a deal with Indians and stuff like that, and instead they gave them smallpox and different types of diseases. They known for that. A big culprit in this right here is Netanyahu. It just seems like he's trying to get rid of them. And my thinking is, it just seems as if he wants to do what he can to get them out of the way so they can build that temple in Israel. But eventually, a peace agreement is going to be made between them, and it's going to fall apart, because the land doesn't belong to any of them. Doesn't belong to any of them at all. We even had the same thing happen to our forefathers who were told that 40 acres and a mule they would get, and they didn't get nothing. So it's in their I guess in their blood, in a sense, to do things this type of way when it comes to negotiating and so-called making deals and agreement. They never hold up the end of the bargain. She pointed to the total internet shutdown imposed during the conflict, mass arrests, the growing militarization of the country, and a wave of executions. According to Iranian state media, 29 people have reportedly been executed since the war began in February. Authorities accused them of spying for Israel or participating in anti-regime protests orchestrated at the behest of Israel and the United States. So that's pretty good on that right there. But as we can see, there is a lot of fighting going on. We're back at war again. And it just seemed like to me, Iran is holding back, and really when you think about it, the Lord is the one that got everything, holding back right now. And it's always been war. It's always been war going on. We're seeing it more and more now, so don't be surprised if it just keeps on going, keep on building up and not stopping. I saw the gas go down a little bit. I was thinking to myself, okay, well, we're making a little headway. Maybe they gonna come to an agreement. And then last night they just started again. So I was like, well, I don't know. Maybe we just need to just go ahead and just buckle up and get ready for the ride. So here we were again, once again. So let's move on to the next one. Let's see here. This right here pertains to, if I can slide this up a little bit. It's like everything has ads on it, y'all. Everything. Goodness gracious. Goodness, I can't get rid of it. Let's see here. Let's see if she's talking about it. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Make this bigger.
Are happening.
Let's start this over. Okay. And while they do that, I'm gonna turn on my AC right quick.
There is new protocol at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport for passengers returning to the U.S. from certain African countries where Ebola outbreaks are happening. Let's get this now. World health leaders are declaring the crisis a public health emergency. Right now, there are 746 suspected cases and 85 confirmed cases, and currently 176 people have died. U.S. Dr. Peter Stafford, who was infected while working with patients in Africa, is critically ill but believes he has turned a corner and says he is cautiously optimistic. Officials raise the risk of this virus spread from high to very high. Starting in just about an hour, Atlanta will become only the second airport in the country screening for Ebola to make sure that virus does not spread here. Channel 2's Aaron Rodgers live now at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. And Aaron, this goes into effect within the hour, in minutes, really.
Truly, Wendy, at 11:59 tonight, anyone who has traveled from Uganda, South Sudan, or the Congo in the past 21 days will now have to be screened either here at the Atlanta airport or through D.C.
Well, it makes me feel safer.
On Friday, the CDC added Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport as a screening location for the Ebola disease.
I'm glad they're going to screen them because it is such a horrible disease.
In the current outbreak, more than 700 people have gotten sick and more than 170 people have died from the viral illness. So now the Department of Homeland Security is directing all flights to the United States carrying people who've been to the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Uganda, or South Sudan in the past 21 days to Washington, D.C., and now Atlanta.
It always seems abstract and far away, but I like to see that them taking precautions.
The last time the Atlanta airport screened for Ebola was in 2022, and Emory treated Ebola patients back in 2014.
Proximity to CDC as well. I feel like we have a better control of it.
Atlanta is also hosting a FIFA match with the Congolese national team on June 27th. Andrew Giuliani, who heads the White House task force for the World Cup, told ESPN the team from the DRC must isolate for 21 days in a bubble in Belgium before entering the U.S. Atlantans say the extra precautions heading into the World Cup are appreciated.
I welcome these people to come to the matches, but I know it's going to be very exciting. But I am glad they're going to make sure they're not sick.
So on Tuesday, Houston's George Bush Intercontinental Airport will also be added as a third screening location. Interesting, of the DRC Congolese national team. They will also be playing in Houston for the World Cup on June 11th. Reporting live at the Atlanta airport, I'm Aaron Rodgers, WSB Tonight.
So it's like if you guys just can go back and think about like how it was in Egypt, right? And this ain't it, because the Great Tribulation is what's gonna be really compared to what went down in Egypt, right? But it's like one thing after another, one thing after another. Now, remember a few weeks ago we were just talking about the what is it, the hantavirus? We were just talking about that, and then now the Ebola virus is back. I don't know how far it's going. I don't know if it's under control or whatever, but just showing how like things are just happening back to back to back. So just keep that in mind. Keep those different things in mind at the forefront of your mind. Not to be scared or nothing like that, but at the same time, just always be on your toes. I saw some on Facebook today. Matter of fact, Sister Cheryl, is that video. I saw what the young lady was talking about, all the different things that was going on TikTok, right? And she said something at the end of the video. I think it was what was it? She was saying she was talking about the floods in New York. She was talking about the Ebola virus. She was talking about she said it was a few things, a few different types of events that was going on all at one time. And she said something at the end, and she was talking about, how like the rich people are preparing for it. And she said at the end of the video, she was like, they getting prepared and we ain't prepared. And I left a comment on that on her thing, and I was like, you ain't prepared. because we ain't going to church and serving God and studying, you know what I'm saying, and being taught and learning, you know what I'm saying, every week and every day, studying and stuff like that. We're not doing that not to prepare. That's exactly what we're doing it for. We're doing it so we can make it through this time and dwell with the Father and the Son, you know what I'm saying, at the set time. So you physically getting certain things like bunkers and all that type of stuff. That stuff not gonna last. That's not gonna do you no good. It may allow you to live a little bit longer, but it ain't gonna do you no good. The best preparation is to get in the word of God. You know what I'm saying? That's the best preparation. Peace, Brother Cam. So now let's go look at our next article here. And this right here is referring to the Vatican entering the AI revolution. And you know, eventually this is gonna have to happen. You know, yeah, she was naming every event that was going on. There was a lot of them too. But like I said at the end, when she was like, "We ain't prepared," I was like, "Nah, speak for yourself," because that's what we doing all this for. Like I say, we do these shows, not just myself. Everybody, it's a lot of people that are around that are, you know, trying to teach the gospel to get people prepared. But for the most part, the world ain't prepared. You know what I'm saying? Like for her, she ain't prepared because you know, she probably ain't getting understanding on the word, you know, and a lot of people put their faith in the physical things to save them from what's coming. But, you know, the Lord is going to be our help. That's our shield and our buckler. So right here, the Vatican enters the AI revolution as Pope Leo XIV and Anthropic co-founder present a global ethics framework for the coming revived Roman Empire. So let's just look over a few things here. Pope Leo XIV have just placed the Vatican squarely in the center of the artificial intelligence revolution, releasing its first encyclical, magnificent, I think it's on safeguarding, I don't even say the word, on safeguarding the human person in the time of artificial intelligence. The Vatican announced the document for May 25th, 2026, and tied its signing to the anniversary of Leo XIII's 1891 social encyclical Rerum Novarum, whatever that is. Roman Catholic response to the Industrial Revolution. But one thing is crystal clear as these news reports are coming in, the revived Roman Empire is coming online, and it will do it through artificial intelligence. Is this how the false prophet Pope will make an image of the beast through AI? Buckle up, Christian, the game is afoot. So now these particular sites, they don't really know, you know what I'm saying? They try to get as close to understanding the Bible as possible. But just kind of showing you some of the natural things that are going on with the data centers and stuff like that. We discussed that last week, but I just wanted to point it out again because now the Pope is saying something about it, you know. So all these different data centers that we see coming up and stuff like that are definitely something for us to pay attention to. It just like to me, it's just the plans being put together. You know what I'm saying? The infrastructure is being put together in order for this market of beast to come online. You know, I don't know that to be 100% true, but I do know that everybody knows. I mean, it's common sense. They're gonna have to have some way to track everything, right? The Lord is the one that got his eyes all over the kingdom. He don't need none of that. But, you know, mankind is going to need that, you know. Satan, he, you know, try to be like God. He have his people in place, and that mark of the beast, it's going to be tracked some type of way. You know what I'm saying? Whether or not you buying or selling, whether you got the mark and all that type of stuff. So maybe this is the infrastructure to that, you know, but even if it's not, it's still something to pay attention to because they are definitely dogmatic about putting these data centers all over the place. So let's see here. And they put a verse right here. He had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And that's the King James, KJV. It should be KJV. I don't know what they got KJV for. But it sounds like what we read. Here's where the story leaves ordinary religion and enters the realm of Bible prophecy. Pope Leo is not launching this AI manifesto alone. The Vatican event includes Christopher Olah, a co-founder of Anthropic, one of the major companies shaping the AI systems that are now being woven into government labor, warfare, surveillance, education, economics, and global policy. That is not just a headline, that's a screaming five-alarm fire. The Pope is presenting Rome as the moral voice that must guide the machine age, and big tech is sitting at the table. Wow. The Associated Press reports that Pope Leo called for a robust regulation of AI, warning that its developers must serve the common good rather than profit, and that AI is reshaping everything from work to war. So now, I can remember specifically, like I say, when I came up in the church, it was definitely fire and brimstone being taught, right? End of the world, stuff like that. So I remember that. I remember my grandparents, my parents, and stuff like that, going to church. Remember the preacher preaching about that. But now today, you can see how things, as far as technology is concerned, you can see and clearly understand that that is definitely a possibility. See, back then, it wasn't like everything was moving on one accord. Like I was saying, I think I said it in church this past Sabbath, or I might have said it last week, but how you can just move around the world and everything is intertwined. You know what I'm saying? Kind of remind me of the days of after the flood. When the Lord had told them to replenish the earth and they're supposed to be scattered out, but they try to stand at a central location, and the Lord came down and, he he gave them different tongues. You know what I'm saying? So they couldn't be on one accord no more. They couldn't understand each other. But it seemed like the world has got back to that again. That's why I say you go around the world, and it's like, I mean, if you even go on a cruise ship, you can even see that everything is all tied in together, but the stage is really being set for this man to come into power. So some people noticing it, some people who don't have true understanding on the word, they can kind of see it and stuff like that. But as far as as far as we're concerned, as far as the word goes, we can see it definitely clear, a whole lot clearer than everybody else. Let's see what he says here. Breaking news, stunning news coming out of the Vatican today, as Pope Leo XIV has agreed to partner with Anthropic. Wow. He has agreed to partner with Anthropic AI to move artificial intelligence forward with the Catholic Church as a major player. Revive Roman Empire coming up, when you therefore shall see the abomination. Man, boy, I'm telling you, man, they ain't dealing with us, but the Lord be giving it a little bit of understanding. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of like he dealt with Cyrus, But at the same time, to get that true understanding, you got to come to us, because even sites like this, they still be going to church on Sunday. So, but they still understand it somewhat. So let's see what he says here. And he speaks English, so we don't got to worry about Latin.
In a special way, I'd like to thank Mr. Ola for accepting our invitation. In turn, in the name of the Church, I accept your invitation to walk together, to listen and to speak, and together to find the way for humanity in this time of artificial intelligence. Mm. What a great sign of hope it is that with our differences, we can listen to one another. This interchange clearly bespeaks the gravity of the moment, as well as confidence that together we can discern the major questions of our time, and so the future of humanity.
Mm. So what does the church have to do with that? So that's it on that. But what does the church have? What does the church have to do with, normal everyday life? You know what I'm saying? What does the church have to do with AI? Yeah, so just pay attention to that, y'all. What does the church have to do with AI? But let's move a little bit further. We're going to check out this other article here and shut him down. That's like it's slowly coming on, guys. Slowly starting to unfold, but at the same time, it's fast. So let's check out this. The Prophecy News Podcast. AI data centers are taking over every city and town in America to prepare for the arrival of the Antichrist and his mark. 666 AI data centers are building the beast system and nothing can stop it. Yeah, it's gonna happen no matter what. We're gonna show y'all this article too. I mean, this news clipping from Georgia to show you how bold they are. As AI data centers drain electricity from towns and homes, the digital nervous system of the coming mark of the beast is rising in plain sight. The AI data center boom is not merely a technology story. It is a prophetic infrastructure story, and it ought to send a chill down the spine of every Bible believer paying attention. All across America, power grids are being strained. Utility companies are making room for massive artificial intelligence. Campuses and ordinary people are being told, directly or indirectly, that the needs of the machine now come before the needs of the home. This is the Matrix on steroids coming right now to Main Street, USA. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given him of all kindreds and tongues and nations. And that's true, but once again, they don't know who this is really referring to. Because even this site right here, they still, like I said, they still worship on Sunday and stuff like that. Lord will give you, he'll kind of, if you digging, he'll give you a little bit, but at the same time, what stops people from really getting it all? They refuse to believe that we are the people of the children of Israel. So if you can't, take who we are with the Bible, then he's not going to give you, a full understanding on it. I'm almost positive these individuals may think that there's a rapture, something like that. But, at least they trying, but still, you're going to have to get the full understanding when you want to learn the word and get truth. You're going to have to take Israel as a part of it. And we're not talking about the fake Jews either. Let's see here. So I think he's just right here talking about what the system is about on their podcast. The AI data centers themselves are very much part of the infrastructure layer that will support the coming mark of the beast system. Identity, commerce, surveillance, permission-based access, biometric verification, digital currency, behavioral scoring, and real-time global enforcement. Just so you know, y'all. So I put on peace, brother DeMarcus. Hope you guys are doing okay down that way. But I had put on TikTok, right? So I put on TikTok pertaining to the credit score that they are somewhat introducing. It's like a social credit score. So for example, what type of videos you like for example, if you watching this a lot, they, somewhat like store the history and stuff. You go to Facebook and you see us all talking about Israelites and stuff like that. We've been putting out different articles and things of that sort. So I had, and that's what the social credit score is about, right? Social media, social credit score. So if you falling in line and you're not like causing no trouble, you ain't really dealing with the stuff we deal with, then your credit score is going to be good on social media. So I put that out on TikTok and they banned it. They said that I was violating his policies. So I ain't fighting or nothing like that. I just shook my head, but that's what's coming. They don't want that stuff to be out there. So, but I say that because if you pay attention right here, it says identity, commerce, surveillance, permission-based access, biometric verification, digital currency, and behavioral scoring. That scoring right there is going to be done by what you do on social media. If you being good and stuff like that, look, I also think it's going to boil down to the vehicles as well, as far as cars is concerned. I'll look a little more into that later on, but I think that's a part of it too, like how you drive and all that type of stuff with the computers in the car. We was out of town, y'all. Some of y'all know we was in Toronto a few weeks ago, and I took my seatbelt off at the red light and the car shut off. And it was a big rig right behind me. I'm in the middle of the traffic. I'm trying to figure out what to do. So I said, let me put my seatbelt back on. It could be a setting that you could turn that off, but at the same time, just the simple fact that the car shut off on me because I took my seatbelt off. So if I was getting scored, based on the car and stuff like that, that more likely would be a problem. But I'm like, goodness gracious, I was almost to the hotel anyway. But I just thought that was strange. But it says behavioral scoring and real-time global enforcement. Real-time global enforcement. Real time, like it's going to be enforced immediately when you do something. Revelation is crystal clear. The mark of the beast will control all buying and all selling through a human implantable biometric device inside your own body. We can't read that. We don't know if that's the case. We'll see when it comes on. Hopefully we're not here. You know what I'm saying? But it does seem like it's going that way because it says it's going to be in your right hand or on your forehead. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we don't know what it is. So we can't say that for sure. Massive AI data centers will control digital ID systems, facial recognition, CBDCs, which is that is central. It's digital currency, central bank digital currency frameworks, tokenized money, smart cities, biometric security, predictive policing, cloud-based health records, AI moderation and censorship, always on tracking devices and any just infrastructure redirected toward machine intelligence. That is the beast system being framed out in plain sight. And they said today we'll travel across America to bring you the real stories of what's happening in towns and cities just like the ones you live in, showing how AI data centers are the literal fulfillment of Bible prophecy. I don't really know if that to be the case. I just know that pay attention to all these data centers coming up. And they so bold with it. Check out what happened with this lady right here. Let me show you guys something. There's a young girl. Peace, Brother Jerry. How you doing? There's a young girl that is trying to fight for her parents' home. That the data centers are just, they don't even care. So they just coming in there, taking over, man. Do not care at all. And this is local. This is where we are, but it's happening everywhere. You know, so it just seems like they're gonna get these data centers up, regardless of what we think, regardless of what we are, regardless of people trying to push it and stop it. They're gonna put them up. And then when you look at the data centers, right, it's like 4 of them here that I know of. One in Fayetteville, one in Powder Springs, one up the street in Stonewall Hotel, and the one in Stonewall Hotel is like back off the road, you know, right, sitting right in the neighborhood, just sitting in the neighborhood, you know. And it don't seem like we gonna have no access to it, but you ride by and you see this big data center. It's still working on it, almost done. I mean, but it's power lines everywhere. Power lines everywhere, man. And they throwing these things up all over the country. What's up, Brother Kevin? Glad you can make it, bro. So let's check out this right here. Let's check out this, what's going on with this individual and her mother's home.
Coweta County woman says that Georgia Power is now trying. Coweta County woman says that Georgia Power is now trying to take her home to support a massive data center project in Fayette County.
11 Alive's Chase Howell spoke with the homeowner. She says the power company is using eminent domain to unfairly force her out.
Ansley Brown says her mom bought this property in 2003 and doesn't think it's fair that the government or a utility company can come in and say, hey, we need this property for public benefit and we have the legal power to take it.
This is a real David and Goliath story, in my opinion. We're going against a $2 billion power company for our home.
That's Ansley Brown. She says Georgia Power is wanting to demolish her childhood home in Coweta County to make way for power lines that will replace the old ones and support a data center in another county.
Truthfully, I feel like this is physically aging my mother and how much stress that this has put on her. For that, me personally, I will go to war.
And for the last year, Brown has been fighting the good fight.
Hey, you guys, it's Ansley from Coweta County, Georgia.
She's been in talks with lawmakers like Senator Greg Dolezal and has gone head-to-head with Georgia Power over its use of eminent domain and compensation.
They are using all of these different tactics to try to diminish the value of this home so that way they don't have to pay us fair market value.
In a statement from Georgia Power, the power company claims only 1% of its land transactions fall under eminent domain, and that oftentimes it offers property owners above market price for their land. And according to Georgia Power, it's in final negotiations with Brown's mom.
They are only saying that they're in final negotiations with us because they are threatening us with condemnation. They are telling us if we do not settle soon, they are going to take us to court and have a jury decide who gets this house and how it plays out.
Georgia Power says this is just one of about 20 to 30 other properties that will be demolished for this project. In Noonan, Chase Howell, 11 Alive News.
Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? What's up, brother Jeremy? Did y'all hear that? Georgia Power said that's one of 30 that will be demolished, right? Man, so I just wanted to, kind of point that out because what's the rush? Like why is it so important that they are like mainly bulldozing people's property? Now, eminent domain is the definition of eminent domain. It says is the legal power of the government to seize private property for public use without the owner consent, provided they pay just compensation. This authority, which originates from the Takings Clause of the Fifth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, can be exercised at the federal, state, or local level. Man, so when the Bible say that the Gentiles run it, y'all, the Gentiles run it. The Gentiles run it, y'all. I mean, they run it. You can be sitting up here, fixing your house up, nice crib and all that type of stuff. You just bought it. You wanna kind of put something to the side for your family. When you gone, you want to leave something for your children. They come in there and take it, man. They come in there and take it. They talking about a data center there, yeah, and y'all kind of in the sticks a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like not too. Well, y'all ain't too far from Charlotte though. I mean, you in Charlotte, but I'm saying like you ain't too far from the city. Y'all still got some wooded area too over there, Jeremy. So man, I can see that. Goodness gracious, boy, y'all far out enough, but they would build on top of you, And if they don't get you to surrender, they raise your taxes. You can have a home that's paid for, and all you gotta do is pay taxes on it, and you don't pay them taxes, you miss a year. They come and they taking the property. So the young lady, she fighting for her mom, and that stuff can age you, age you fast. Like she said, she think that's is aging her mother. It can definitely do that, just by worrying. But at the same time, when you understand God and you understand the Bible that the Lord gave this land into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar and his sons. I just pray that he just keep us out the way. But at the same time, man, they run it all. They run it all. And people just don't understand, man. They don't understand. I think with us understanding, it allows us to deal with things a whole lot easier. Like if something like that happened to me, I wouldn't. I mean, just give me the most amount of money you can give me for the property. You know what I'm saying? Because you fighting it like at the end of the news, Georgia Power said that's just one of 30 properties that's going to be taken down. But what is the push behind this? Why is this so important? I look, if you just go back 10 years ago. If you can remember 10 years ago, do you remember seeing these data centers all over the place? Like I don't even remember. It was I don't even remember. It was a push for one data center. So what's happening now? It does make me wonder, but at the same time, like I said, I can't be 100% sure what it is, but it just seemed like things are being set up in place. We'll see though. Hopefully, when things like that do happen, the Lord got us in a place of safety though. So let's go check out the next article here. This right here is our false prophet segment for today. Let's see what this clown gonna do. Let's check this out, y'all. Now, this dude is gonna try to divide the Red Sea. Check out what happens here. Go back. Oh my goodness. God, God ain't with these individuals, man. why he ain't standing there? Oh man. All right, so this is the last one for today. Like I said, I gotta get on the call here shortly. But I want y'all to hear this right here. This is a guy named David Mann, and he's been floating around the internet past few weeks now. Now, he's been out for a while. He's a preacher in New York. He just don't care. He been like this. Matter of fact, in '08, when I first came to the word, I used to check him out. You know what I'm saying? Because he was like, in my mind, the closest thing to what I can remember back in the day without the cussing. But now, been in the word for some time. I understand he a false prophet. But listen to what he says, y'all. Listen to what he says about the community. And tell me what y'all think. Where is the lie at? Check this out.
Your children, come in this church, sit your ass down in here. Stop running after every man, dragging men in your house in front of your children. Come in this church, sit your ass down in here, and let me tell you what to do. They don't want to hear that. And everywhere you look, you see this single mom. Women can't raise children. End of story. Case closed. There are no exceptions. If that was the case, then God would have never given her a husband. And a child, a boy that's raised by a woman, he ain't gonna know how to treat a woman when he gets her. He's gonna fight her. He's gonna argue with her. He ain't gonna know how to respect her when he gets her. And so our family situation is getting worse as the generations go by. And yet nobody wants to step up and help. You can't get these nigger women to come to church. They don't have a husband in the home. Hell, they need me as a pastor to instruct them, tell them to keep their damn legs closed. Stop running after every man, dragging men in your house in front of your children. Come in this church, sit your ass down in here, and let me tell you what to do. They don't want to hear that. They have gotten to the point where there's stink leg between their asses, and they don't want no man to tell them what to do. That's why they don't want to come to church. But their children are now in jail and shooting and carrying Glock 9s and being shot down by the police. And yet for that one moment of fantasy of sex with a nigga that don't care nothing about them, they don't want to have nothing to do with me. You ain't never seen nothing like it. You ain't never seen nothing like it. Stop running after every man, dragging men in your house in front of your
one more time.
Children. Come in this church, sit your ass down.
If you say it nice, they still don't get it, right? I guess you got to just get right to the point. You know what I'm saying? But what is the real issue, man? I understand what he trying to say, but the Lord already told us what the problem is. Yeah, hard love. So yeah, exactly. And the Lord told us what the problem is, and that's what's missing. We can he telling the truth as far as the behavior is concerned, like that and stuff, but according to the word, that's what we have to turn back to, because as long as we continue to disobey the Lord, you know what I'm saying, it's just not gonna get no better. It's like I was saying this past Sabbath, it wasn't just, it was, first off, I saw something pertaining to it was a daycare, not a daycare, it was a kindergarten graduation in Tennessee. You can look it up. A fight broke out there. We was a part of that, and I think you had some Gentiles there as well that was fighting. Then Benjamin E. Mays at a graduation here, a fight broke out. Also in New York, I think it was New York. They were showing on the New York Post. It might have been Tennessee though, where another high school graduation broke out into a fight. And everybody who's partaking in this stuff is us. And there's a thing going around, they called it black fatigue. I'm saying this weekend myself, hell, I got black fatigue and I'm black. In other words, all the whining and stuff like that, all the whining, all the crying about the situation as, pertaining to what we going through. Everybody want to, look at other options on how to rectify the situation, but the right option. And as long as we keep doing that, we'll continue to just live up under these curses. Like I was saying this past Sabbath, like, among us, we can see the word spread, and you can see that we starting to turn back and stuff like that. But it ain't even a drop in the bucket. As big as the world is, we got a lot of work to do. But just notice what the Lord is going to say here. Isaiah 3. Isaiah 3, let's see here. Isaiah 3 and verse 1. I'm going to read a few places here. For behold, the Lord of hosts, doth take away from Jerusalem and Judah the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread and the whole stay of water. The mighty man, the man of war, the judge, and the prophet, and the prudent, and the ancient, the captain of 50, and the honorable man, and the counselor, and the cunning artificer, and the eloquent orator. And I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them. And the people shall be oppressed, everyone by another, and everyone by his neighbor. The child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient, and the base against the honorable. So we look around, and we can't blame nobody else. Like we can't look at nobody else. We can't look at other nationalities for the condition that we're in, because the Lord, He already laid it out. Now this in Isaiah was given to us a long time ago, and we still seeing the you know ramifications of our behavior because we continue to do the same thing. But it's clear now today, at least back in Isaiah, we had somewhat of some type of you know understanding, right? And I say that because when I was coming up in church, excuse me, the people in church still tried to serve God. You know what I'm saying? Like you can remember the older women used to have the big hats on in church. And I always thought it was part of fashion, but now I understand what it is. The deacons and stuff like that, they carried themselves a certain type of way. They might have been doing their dirt behind the scenes and stuff, but they still had some type of respect. And now you look at us today, it's like it's completely out of the window. Why do we got to go to a graduation and fight? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the purpose? That's supposed to be a great achievement for our children in life. And then we just go on to we at the graduation, and like Chud the Builder said, we chimping out. And people don't like, we get offended when other people say that type of stuff. But look at how we acting. What in the world? Look at how we acting. Look how we carry ourselves. But the Lord already let us know what the problem is. He said, when a man shall take hold of his brother of the house of his father, saying, thou hast clothing, be thou our ruler, and let this ruin be under thine hand. In other words, so like, man gonna look for his brother to help him out. Like, hey man, help us out. You can be our ruler. In that day shall he swear, saying, I will not be a healer. That guy gonna be like, nah, man, I can't do nothing for you. For in my house is neither bread nor clothing. Make me not a ruler of the people. So I can't even take care of myself. So I can't rule over y'all, man. For Jerusalem is ruined and Judah is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against the Lord, to provoke the eyes of his glory. The show of their countenance doth witness against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom. They hide it not. Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded even unto themselves. So now let's go here, skip down to verse 13. Well, verse 10, it says, say ye to the righteous that it shall be well with him, for they shall eat the fruit of their doings. Woe unto the wicked that shall be ill with him. And that right there, that is that's kind of clear for today, even with us, because you can kind of see that serving God and keeping his commandments, he does make it a little bit easier for us. You know what I'm saying? And then on the other hand, the ones that are in the world serving all these other guys, it's just like they constantly going through something. And that's why I thank God that he allowed, me and my family and also you all to come into the word, because you can see the finer things in life when you're serving God. But on the other hand, like it says in verse 11, woe unto the wicked, it shall be ill with him, for the rewards of his hands shall be given him. Then it says, as for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err and destroy the way of thy paths. And that's mainly what we got going on today. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. And that's mainly what he's saying here. Like he said, like the guy was saying, can't no woman raise no child. Even though they try to do their best. Look, it wasn't set up to be that way. It was set up to be done with both the man and the woman in the house. So you take the man out of the house, the majority of what you're gonna run into a lot of what we seeing today. It's like it just ain't no help, man. That's what it seems like. That's what it seems like. We know that the Lord gonna recover this people, and save us from our situation. But that was my take on that. I I wanted to go ahead and get in here, and I think we started about 2 minutes early. We have 55 minutes right now today, so we'll open it up for like a few questions before we close it out. Feel free, or you have any comments, you can go ahead and make those comments now. I just thank God that He allowed us to, be able to put some things out and just kind of, get ahead of things that's going on in the world. Brother Kevin, and I thank God that the Lord woke us up and led us to you to teach us the truth. Well, praise the Lord, man. I'm glad that I'm glad that the Lord allowed me to minister the word to you all and other people as well. And at the end of the day, man, the Lord saw you all worthy, because it takes a lot. It takes a lot to be able to turn away from somebody like World Changers. It take a lot, especially because he cunning. He very cunning, and it just seemed like the wisdom, the word that he was teaching was just wisdom that it just felt like that was it. So when the Lord call you and you hear His voice, that right there, that's the miracle right there, to be able to humble yourself, what I'm saying, and question those things. I know that people know that he lying. People know that they preachers are lying, but they still hold on to it. I remember I asked my dad a while back, man. I remember I asked my father when I first came into the word. I asked him, did he read Jeremiah 10? He told me he knew it was in there. And I said, why you ain't tell us that? He said, well, what if I would have told y'all, then what would you guys have to do? Like, for example, what was y'all gonna celebrate? You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all wouldn't have nothing to do. And I said, Dad, all I want to do is know the truth. I don't care about that. Like, even as a young man, I didn't care about Christmas and all that. I just wanted to please the Lord. But I say that because some people know the truth and still won't let it go. They still won't let tradition go. And that's why Romans talks about, how he showed these preachers. He showed it to them, and they still decide to deceive the people. And then we just look at all these different situations that's going on in the world, and ain't nobody really paying attention. The culprits are the preachers. Culprits are the preachers. Don't get me wrong now. We know, like, Paul ain't got to address when he say, when you go in the house, eat anything that's set before you, right? He don't have to, put out there, well, don't eat, pork and stuff like that, because that's a foregone conclusion, right? So likewise in this case right here, we know, I done forgot my thought. I need to go back and rewind. What was I talking about, y'all? We know what was I about to say? Can y'all remember? But anyway, point is that, these guys, they sit up and lie and stuff like that. And we know it's not referring to us. In other words, Romans, we know it's not referring to us. And we know that at the same time, we know Israel is the true priest. You know what I'm saying? But you still got all these other preachers out here that the world look at as standing in the gap for God. And the Lord is going, what's name? The Lord is going to deal with all of them. First and foremost, Gentile preachers ain't supposed to be up there. And then on top of that, theology as a doctrine, that ain't a doctrine, you know? But you think the Lord ain't going to show all these individuals? He's not going to show these people when you sitting up here leading massive amounts of people, teaching them. You think the Lord not going to give them the word? He going to give it to them. It's just, what are they going to do with it? So in the end, they're going to have to pay. They're going to have to pay. But sadly, a lot of people just don't want to let that go. Just don't want to let it go. And I just thank God he got us off of that traditional drug, because that's exactly what it is. It's a drug of tradition. It's passed down from one family to the next, to the next, to the next, and it's so, it's rooted so deep that You know, people just don't want to walk away from it. But the Lord had mercy on us and blessed us to be able to have understanding, and not only have understanding on who's lying to us and been leading us astray, he also allowed us to have understanding on his word. So with that being said, thank you all for tuning in once again. Lord willing, next week, same time, we'll be here. Y'all have a great week and also enjoy the Sabbath and also enjoy Pentecost. Peace to everybody in the name of Jesus. And we're going to close this thing out.